We're at Monado looking at precision shooting and looking at a couple of different rifles. So precision rifle shooting is shooting typically different stages. So you have a set time period to execute between 10 and 15 shots, with center fire from 200 to 500 meters and rim fire from about 50 to 250 meters. So that's shots off of barricades, maybe prone off of different platforms. So you have a prescribed course of fire that everybody has to go through, and you're shooting at steel targets. So if you hit the steel target, you get a point. If you miss it, you don't. So a PRS shooter's got to be able to shoot accurately, quickly, and be able to move quickly. So some of those things are counterintuitive, but that's really what you need to be able to do to be an effective PRS shooter. So I've been shooting PRS for 3 years. I would consider myself an intermediate shooter. The average age of PRS shooters is probably in their early 30s. That's a far distant memory for myself, but what I'm able to do is still compete effectively through hard work and having good equipment. I'm shooting a 6mm BRA cartridge, 2800 feet per second, with a 105 grain Berger hybrid bullet. So that gives me a really good, solid, accurate round that's able to move the steel plates at distance, but not with lots of recoil. The other things we've got here is a chronograph. So that measures the bullet speed, which I then use to put into the Kestrel, which I'll put in the distance of the target, what the wind conditions are. It measures the atmospheric conditions, and then that will tell me how much elevation I need to put in on the rifle and how much windage I need to hold in the scope. From the level of this rifle, it's probably the rifle's in the upper level and the scope would be in the upper middle. So the rifle's a foundation stock, a Valor Action with a custom barrel and a Botnia muzzle brake. So that's been put together as a custom rifle for me to shoot with. And then I've got a Vortex Gen 2 Razor scope that I use to shoot. So it's a Sig Cross in 308. Just had a few shots at it. Really nice rifle, comfortable to shoot. For PRS type shooting, it would need some weight at the front to help with the balance and the recoil. But overall, a very pleasant firearm to shoot. So if you're going to shoot PRS, you want the rifle to balance just in front. So if you've got the rifle like this, you'll see it's balancing towards the back. The Sig Cross comes with these M-LOK slots where you can put weights in there so that you get the balance more towards the front of the gun. So when you go on a barricade, if you go onto a bag, the rifle will just sit and not move. And the more balanced that is, the more accurate and easier it is to shoot. So obviously 308 is a very versatile cartridge. You can go lighter bullets, heavier bullets, depending on what type of hunting you're doing, whether that be for pigs or for other animals as well. So it's a very versatile caliber that can be used for many different uses. So 308 can be shot in tactical class in PRS, which means you're only shooting against other 308 or 223 caliber guns, because obviously with 308 you're going to have more recoil than some of the open class guns. So that levels the playing field in that environment. So I just shot the Aero Solus in 6.5 Creedmoor out at 385 meters. Handy little rifle, really nice to shoot. Probably a little bit light for PRS, but would make an excellent hunting rifle. If you got it in 308, you can run it in tactical class. I would recommend adding some more weights to it before you did that, and it'd be quite a handy little rifle in that type of environment. For shooting PRS, depending on your physical size, the weight of the rifle can make things unwieldy. We have everything from junior shooting that are quite young and not terribly strong, and females or males, quite honestly, that are not necessarily as big as strong as some of the other ones. So they may choose to shoot a lighter rifle and accept a little bit more recoil as part of that process. But my rifle, for example, is nearly 12 kilos, 11.5 kilos. Not everybody's got the ability to move that around on the stage the way that I have. So the scope is Leupold Mark V HD. They're a very good scope. In Australia, that's a sort of upper end scope. It's interesting when you go to the US, they talk about Night Force and this scope as being a mid-range scope. So some of that's just the Australian dollar not being as strong and the cost of the scopes. But yeah, you can spend upwards to $8,000 or $9,000 on a really high-end scope if you want to. So I've used a bunch of different scopes over the last 3 years that I've been shooting. This is one of the ones that I would consider shooting myself. I haven't at this stage, but they're certainly a very good, well-respected scope, along with some of the other ones that are used by various shooters. It's very much a personal thing, which scope you like, and just because I like something doesn't mean it's necessarily best for someone else, or vice versa. You could probably start off with something like a Tikka or a Bergara and spend, $2.5 grand on the rifle, and maybe somewhere around $2 grand for a scope at the low end. It just really depends on, to some degree, what you like. I like nice things, so I don't necessarily compete at the high end, but I have high-end equipment. The easiest way to come involved is to contact your local PRS club. Precision Shooting Australia's got a website, and all the clubs are listed on there. So if you send them an email or ring someone, they'll direct you to the local club.